Nithyanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshibhotam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami.
We welcome all the Sri Mahants, Kotaris, Tanedas, Samajis, Satsangis, Balasanths, visitors and viewers all over the world to this Vaakyaartha Sadhas conducted by the Balasanths of Nithyananda Gurukul. Today's topic for Vaakyaartha Sadhas is how to be away from boredom, how we should not fall prey to this andam tamaf pravishantiye vidyam upasate, and how should we be away from worshipping ignorance. We will now be chanting the 9th verse of Ishavasya Upanishad.
Andham tamah pravishanti ye vidyamupasate tato bhuya ivate tamoya uvidyaya agumrataha.
I have a question from today's satsang. Swamiji told that worshipping ignorance, right? So I have a question, if we are ignorant, will we even know that we are ignorant? Only if we know we are ignorant, we'll even encourage that we are ignorant, right? So if we don't even know that we are ignorant, how will we even be able to encourage ignorance or worship it?
What I feel is ignorance only comes when you know when something is wrong and you do it. When you don't know that something is wrong, even if you do it, it only happens out of innocence. It doesn't happen out of ignorance. So only when you know something is wrong, only when you know that you have an incompletion and still you perform that act, it is ignorance.
Like Swami told, ignorance is not not knowing something. It is when you don't want to know about something. So what I feel is you will know when you're ignorant, because ignorance is when you know that you're doing something wrong, but you still do it just because that maybe you want to prove yourself to be arrogant or ignorant. So this is what I feel.
So, like what they told, it is only always when you decide against life, it is you are ignorant. You are deciding that you don't want to learn anything new in your life. Such way you can decide against the life. So when you decide against the life, you know clearly that you are ignorant. And when you know ignorant, you continue to encourage and you continue to entertain the space of ignorance in you.
And also what I feel is that when you were very small, the first time when you decided not to learn something, that is the time the ignorance started happening in you. And because of that, now even though you decide, you don't even know that you're deciding against something. It's just happening as a background flow of you. So now we have to sit and dig in to find out where all we are ignorant. Then all those places we have to dig and complete with it. So what I feel is that when we dig and find out the first incident where we told no to knowledge, when we said yes to ignorance, we have to find that and complete it. Then we will be able to complete with our ignorance.
I have a question. How is ignorance and arrogance related?
More and more, and you start building your ignorance more and more, encouraging your ignorance, knowing that will not help you anyway, is what I understand as arrogance.
Adding to what she told, like that day in Swamiji told satsang, that arrogance is when you continue to live with your ego, knowing that it is not going to enrich you anyway. That is arrogance. So ignorance is when you don't want to learn something and you continue to be in that space of ignorance, and when you continue to live in the space of ignorance, it becomes arrogance.
So you mean to say both are same? Arrogance and ignorance? I didn't really understand it properly.
See, it's like when you are first there and then you decided not to learn something. So that was out of the space of arrogance that no to life. From now I cannot expand. So you decided something like that at one point of your life. After you decided that, then you were not able to do anything and you didn't even have the cognition that you will be able to learn something or do something. So what I feel is the first decision you made that I will not learn is due to the ignorance which you had, and that was the arrogance. And from there, now you don't even know that you have a possibility of learning, which is that ignorance in you. So when you dig in and find out, then you will be able to complete with it and come out of this arrogance and ignorance.
But Swami told the first time you said no to knowledge is ignorance. How can it be arrogance?
What I think is like how you told the first time when you say yes and decide against the life, it becomes only ignorance. But when you see the result of the situation and when it makes, when it gives lots of people come and give you attention, you'll feel a kind of, so if I fall into powerlessness and decide against life, people give me lots of attention. So when you start seeing all these things and when you start applying this in every possible situation when it occurs to you, that becomes arrogance. So basically first time when you tell it only becomes ignorance, but when you start following it continuously and using it in every situation, it becomes as arrogance.
So ignorance comes out of arrogance. It's like you think that you're like you'll believe about yourself as something small, and you continue to encourage that, and from that you take a decision. So that is arrogance, and from that ignorance.
What I understand is it is like you become arrogant because you are ignorant. So it is arrogance comes from ignorance. When you go on encouraging your ignorance more and more, then you become arrogant. So I think that arrogance comes out of ignorance.
See now, like your mother assigns you a task, and then you are not able to do that, and then from that time you start deciding. So anything my mother gives like this, I will not do. So this is the first time you are doing it, and you and then next time when she gives something, now you will tell I will not do because I cannot do this. You give some silly reasons and you don't do, and then you see the way she responds to you, and you'll feel comfortable with it. This is only ignorance. You're just doing it first time. But when you do this again and again, when you put this in every possible situations in your life and decide against the life, then it becomes arrogance. So first time you're just deciding that you will not do. You're just saying you're just deciding against life. It's just ignorance. When deciding against deciding against the life becomes a lifestyle or a pattern in you, that becomes arrogance.
Adding a point, just taking the example as you took, like if that time your mother assigned you some work to do and then you didn't know how to do it, and because of that you didn't know, so that was basically ignorance. And because of that your mother shouted at you or whatever has happened in your life, you decided no, from now you will not do this at all. So that is arrogance. So basically the arrogance has the root in the ignorance only. So ignorance has started, and then as you keep continuing on in your life that I cannot do this, I cannot do this, I cannot do this, that's all completely from the space of arrogance. So everything has the root in ignorance.
I have a question. See, in a few satsangs, Swamiji said that the root of all powerlessness and all incompletions is anger. So how is the root of, see, ignorance is also powerlessness. How is the root of that anger?
So what I think is like how in the first statement we understood that basically deciding against life is ignorance. So when do you get anger? Only when you decide against something you'll get anger. When you decide against the life you'll get anger. See, like now for example, now they tell you to do this and then you will tell no, you won't do this, and then the person says you're completely arrogant and he says you're completely arrogant, and then at that point you get angry. So when does this happen? It only happens when you decide against the life. So basically deciding against life is you don't want to learn something, that's why you are ignorant. So what I think is root of all powerlessness is ignorance. Basically everything starts from ignorance, then it leads up to anger, irritation, frustration, and lands up in violence.
But I have a question. Swamiji told that whenever there's a situation where you need to protect yourself or something, you need to defend yourself, that time an energy is given to you and you tend to make that energy into something bad. So that turns out as anger. Like if someone hits you, that energy is given to you by the source to defend yourself. So when you put that in a bad way, that time you turn out to be hitting the other person instead of defending yourself or enriching the other person. So in that case, it's only the decision which is deciding against life which comes after the energy is given to you. So how does the decision against life only bring that anger to you?
See, you just told that there is some amount of energy which is given to you for you to defend yourself when there is something which is going to happen against you, which is going to harm you. What I feel is that, like the cognition which Swamiji gave in the Nithyananda way of cognition, see, it's like you can use that energy, you don't need to hit somebody or defend yourself by fighting against somebody, but the strong trust on your master, using that same energy which you have, can just stop the other opponent which is going to harm you, just stop it and nullify the harm which is going to happen on you itself. So that energy which is given to you does not always need to be used for attacking somebody in a violent way and stopping it. You can always use that energy inward and to understand that you are consciousness and make the opponent just lose the enmity towards you, or make sure that no harm is going to happen to you at all. So what I feel is this energy which is given to you is the energy of, means even at that time, because it's a survival need, that time you understand, yes, and you have the experience of consciousness, that is when this energy comes up, and you don't need to always use that energy to attack something or somebody. Instead, you can use that to experience the consciousness and have a practical living in your life by just making sure that the other thing is not at all harming you. So I feel you can use that energy in this way also. So it will not be deciding against life if you use it like this.
So adding to what he told, in the previous Vaakyaarthas, we understood that anger is not something wrong, it is just energy. But the way we use it only decides whether we are violent or we are being compassionate. So basically, even in this situation, again, only when you decide against the life, you turn it on hitting someone, or you get angry and you hit someone, or you get frustrated, or you get violent, or you get irritated, all those things. But when you use the same energy to enrich that person, it never turns it out, it never becomes anger in you, it becomes just a simple enriching towards someone. So this again, in the situation which you gave, the energy is only used deciding whether you're deciding for life or against life.
So I have a question. Today Swamiji was speaking about buddhi. Can you explain what is buddhi?
What I understand as buddhi is like the space of completion which you have, the power of third eye which you have is what I understand as buddhi.
I have a question. Today Swami told that you don't have buddhi from when you're born itself, you need to create it. But if buddhi is concerned with third eye and third eye is concerned with this willpower, For every decision, we have a willpower, right? We are deciding, so we have a willpower. So why should that buddhi be created? It's already there. That's why we even have this willpower and we're deciding, right?
See, Swamiji never told it should be created. Swamiji told it should be grown. So what I feel is that, yes, all of us have the third eye. So it's like the seed which is there in us. Only by deciding for life again and again, it's like watering the seed with proper mud and moisture and everything, so that the plant starts growing. So when you decide for life again and again, that is the time you start growing your buddhi. So naturally, it will awaken your third eye and you will experience the consciousness. So deciding for life again and again and not worshipping the ignorance, that's basically saying no to the ignorance, is like giving the proper required temperature and good amount of water and all that for growing the seed into a beautiful plant.
But even if you're going to decide against life, also you're using that willpower.
What I think is when you decide against the life, you use the willpower, but you never use your buddhi, you only use your mind. Because always only mind gives such lame reasons and make you decide against the life. It's only mind which has the powerlessness inside you and make you decide against life. So I don't think you use your buddhi at that time for you to open your third eye.
What I feel is that always not deciding against life is not always that it comes from your willpower, because anytime you can just not want to learn something and be lazy, and that will be deciding against life. So it's completely like all the time it can't be your willpower which is making you decide against life. Just your laziness to just drop whatever you're doing and just be lazy could also be a way of deciding against life.
See, I'll give you a practical example. You are getting angry. You are a very short-tempered person. You are getting very angry. So you have a bat in your hand, and then there is the glass in front of you. You are very angry. Do you need to use your willpower to take the bat and shatter things in front of you? No, there is no willpower at all in it. It's just completely that anger which you have which is going to play the role. What willpower do you lifting the bat and then taking and shattering? No. That is why, as Swamiji told, that it's very easy to promote these religions which promote death. It's very easy, they all flourish very easily. But it is very difficult for religions which tell live, decide for life to flourish. Because when you tell that you have to live, you have to constantly take decision for life. Use your willpower for life. When you need to destroy something and make destruction happen, you don't need to use any willpower of you. It's just go around, bash things up. It's just destruction. But when there is creation, you have to use your willpower. So what I feel is that only whenever you decide for life, you even start using your willpower. Otherwise, you don't use your willpower.
But I have a question about that. See, but even when we get angry, we are using our willpower only to get angry, because we're the ones who decide to get angry, right? We're using our willpower even for that.
What I feel is when you're powerless, you don't use your willpower. Like when you get upset, you don't use your willpower to like bring tears in your eyes and cry. What I feel it just comes because you're just powerless. So what I feel is in powerlessness there's no willpower, because always a third eye only supports powerfulness, not powerlessness.
I have a question. What is willpower?
Okay, I can give you an example for this. See, now take example of you inhaling and then you are holding the air inside you. So you inhale and then you try to hold it for a maximum number of time as much as possible. That is willpower. You use your willpower to hold it for as long as possible and then you exhale it. So that is the willpower. The power for the willpower which you have inside you, which makes you hold it for a long time. That is willpower.
So do you mean to tell willpower is like power to take decisions?
What I feel is that anytime you take something, you do something to move towards consciousness, to align yourself towards your purpose, that is when you use your willpower. So basically, it's like whenever you are like getting angry and getting upset and crying and all that, there's no use of your willpower at all. Because if we continuously use your willpower, then by now we all would have been enlightened. We are not using our willpower in anything. Instead, we are just lazy, roaming around with all this boredom, not knowing what to do and all that. So I feel that when you make a decision for consciousness, deciding for life, that is when you start using your willpower. Till then, there is no use of your willpower at all.
I have a question. Does boredom lead to laziness or laziness lead to boredom?
What I feel is both go hand in hand. Like if you're bored, you'll be lazy, and if you're lazy, you'll be bored. I feel both go hand in hand.
But I have a question. But for my experience, when I'm bored, I don't like start becoming lazy. I only like think of things which I can do. So I don't feel that boredom leads to laziness. How does boredom lead to laziness? I mean, to my experience, when I'm bored, I only think of like what I can do. I get really restless. I don't like become lazy. So how does boredom lead to laziness?
What I feel is that even that is also like, which comes as a byproduct of boredom only. See, even when you are restless, you are not complete with what you are, you are not feeling settled with what you are. You constantly want something from outside to complete you or to make you feel something good and all that. So, what I feel is even the restlessness is the incompletion which comes as a byproduct of the boredom which you have. See, that is why when we are restless, we constantly want some vacation or something like that continuously to happen so that we are feeling settled. Something which makes us remove, like now we are sitting and doing some work continuously. Suppose you're continuously sitting and working in front of a computer or your office job. Then after you finish that, immediately you feel, oh, let me take a break, let me go somewhere else and spend time. Now after you go there and spend time, maybe you are able to spend few days, few hours and like that. And again you get bored of that also. Then you again try to shift to something else and do. So it's not like the what you do, but it's from what is that which is inside. If you encourage the boredom again and again inside, then naturally how much ever you change things externally, it is again and again going to lead you to more and more boredom only. So even this restlessness is the incompletion that is caused from the boredom, for which you need to complete and understand that nothing from outside can add more joy to me, nothing from outside can complete me more. It's only my decision to sit with myself. If I am so complete, if I am the consciousness, then nothing can be added. Then why should I be so restless and just settling down in that space?
What I feel is boredom does lead to laziness, because when you feel bored and you feel that you need to do something, that time whatever you try doing, it's like from a completely wrong context, because it's for coming out of that boredom. You think by doing this you'll get some or the other excitement. So whatever you decide for after that, it'll be from the space of boredom only. So whatever you do, still you'll still be bored. So until you break that pattern and come out of that boredom, you'll still be in that boredom. And eventually, when you are continuously doing things and you are just continuously feeling bored about it, one day you will just become lazy and you will be thinking nothing is there to do, and you will just be lazy like that. So until you break the pattern of this boredom, doing things from the wrong context of boredomness, until then you will still be lazy and boredom.
Just adding a point to what Ajara Maharaj told. What I understand is like when you are bored, like when you don't want to do something, like you're bored, like you don't know what to do, and you think I can do this, I can do that. But you'll not be ready to do anything. You'll just think like, from my experience, whenever I'm bored, like I'll want to do this or I'll want to do that, but I'll not be ready to take any responsibility for that and do. So it'll be like out of laziness is why, like I'll just be thinking I can do this, I can do that, but will not do anything. So that is out of laziness. So what I think is boredom. When you're bored, you also become lazy.
So adding to what they told, so basically boredom is what? You not being a moment is boredom. And for example, now you take an example that you have to enrich 100 people for IA. Keep it like IA for kids. You need to enrich hundreds of kids. And then now you are traveling towards some place. If you're there in this moment, you will constantly think, okay, now how can I enrich 100 kids? And then you will start thinking, how can I enrich? So you will start taking your tab and start enriching people through the Facebook. You will start enriching. In that case, you're not being lazy. But whereas when you're not in the moment, you'll be sitting and thinking of something, and you won't do something productive. So what I think is boredom will lead you to laziness.
And also, like Swamiji told in today's satsang, for understanding consciousness and experiencing consciousness, you don't need to believe that you are consciousness. If you just sit and internalize that you are consciousness, that understanding that you are consciousness will just like that happen. So what I feel is that if you're just settled with yourself, and like whenever you feel bored or when you feel tired, if you just sit and internalize, okay, if I am consciousness, then as per the consciousness, there's no such thing as boredom that exists. If this is the thing which is getting me boredom, then let me just sit and complete and make it the way I want, because I am consciousness, and the work which is going to happen is also consciousness. So let me just change it. So anytime when we are having boredom or laziness, so that time if we just sit and internalize that we are consciousness, we'll have the experience of consciousness at that point immediately.
I have a question about what Ajara Maharaj said. See, he said that suppose we're bored about something and we decide, okay, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, whatever we decide to do, it'll just lead to more and more boredom. But how is that possible? Because if you're bored and you think of doing something, like how Adinatha Maharaj told, now I can enrich people, I can do this or whatever, that'll break your boredom, right? How will it lead to more boredom?
What I feel is, to my experience, when you're bored, like you have nothing to do, even if you go, like for example, you're bored, and you think that, okay, I'll go play a video game, maybe then I'll not feel bored. So even when you go play the video game, even you'll start getting bored of the video game. Then you'll tell that, okay, I'll go watch TV. So you'll go watch TV. So what I feel is, boredom is not something that if you get something else to do, the boredom will just go. What I feel is, even if there's so many things to do, you will still be bored of everything.
What I feel is, from my experience, only the inspiration which comes to me only takes me out of that boredom. Because when I'm in that boredom, I'm not in the moment. I keep on thinking of doing some or the other thing. So I'm not in the moment. I won't be thinking about what great thing I can do now for enriching the cosmos and me. So instead of thinking about that, I'll be thinking about something else, like coming out of that boredom or something useless like that. So when I have the context wrong and when I do something out of the moment, that time, even if I try to enrich someone, I'll just get like misguided to do something else. So it'll be like completely different when you take any decision from the boredom. But when you get the inspiration to do something, that time only you really come out of that boredom and you decide to do something.
just adding a point to what Hajara Maharaj told. What I understand is like, see, though, like whenever you're bored, you try to excite yourself with the things outside, but your boredom is an incompletion inside. So still you complete with it inside. Whatever is outside will not excite you, because like you may do that for a few minutes, again you'll think, no, I'm bored, this is also boring, and you'll keep like trying to change the activities which happens outside. You'll keep trying to change it, but still you decide to complete the boredom inside. Whatever, how many ever activities you change outside, it will still make you bored after some point of time. But once you complete and you do things out of inspiration, there'll be no boredom, and you'll just do it out of the joy.
It's like you have a wound on your face and you're trying to put band-aid on the mirror. Like you have boredom inside you and you're constantly trying to change the situations externally. So what I feel is you have to sit and complete, like what Nandita told. So you're supposed to sit and complete, then you'll automatically see the change around you.
Just adding a point. See, it's like you are the container and there's so much of garbage dumped inside you, and that is the boredom. So because of that, you feel it is not at all nice, everything is stinking, everything is bad and all that. And then you start trying to get different perfumes from outside and start spraying on it. See, the effect of perfume can have on the garbage only for maybe few seconds. So that's like taking, if you are feeling bored, moving on to the next activity. So it's like spraying a particular type of perfume. After that, after that effect goes, then again you try to move on to something and spray some other perfume. In another few minutes, again that is also go. Then you're trying to move to the next thing. So because it's not, then you tell that this is not nice, this is not nice, this is not nice, and you blame the external things for your problem. But the garbage is inside, that is what is stinking. So if you understand that whatever is inside you, that is what is the problem, and complete with it. So instead of finding for the solution for your boredom outside, understanding that because you are not internalizing yourself as consciousness, that is why this problem of boredom is happening. So sitting and internalizing that you are the consciousness is like removing all the garbage which you have inside and just filling yourself with the pure nectar of consciousness. So that time naturally everything will just flower and you'll be in the space of consciousness. I have a question. Today Swamiji told that seer, seeing, seen is the same. When you realize this, you become the seer. What does Swamiji mean by this?
What I understood is, like when Swami told that, like the seer, seeing, and the seen, all these three are same. When you realize that, that means you're realizing that you're consciousness. But and when he told that, that means you are the seer. I understood that seer as a like an enlightened person, because in one of those verses meanings they told all-knowing seer. They described consciousness as all-knowing seer. So when I understood that seer, I understood it like as an enlightened being.
I'm still not very clear about this. Can you give it with an example?
When you're seeing some scene, when you're seeing something, you're perceiving like the process is different. So what I feel is when you realize that all the three, the everything is same, that means I feel that everything is consciousness. That's what you'll realize, and so you become an enlightened being.
So does that mean that whenever you understand and internalize that you are the consciousness, you see things as a big picture and you know everything is happening because of you?
What I think is yes, because when what you see and what happens and the process of seeing, when all three, like when you understand that you are consciousness, you'll like whatever happens, you'll understand that you are that. So all three will get aligned when you understand, when you internalize that you are the consciousness.
I didn't really understand how seeing and the seen are the same, because seeing is an action, right?
what what I think is like, when you understand that you are the consciousness, that time you will know that whatever is happening is also you, and the person who's seeing is also you. So both will be the same, because you'll know that both in both the places it is consciousness only.
Adding to what she told, see, when the seer is consciousness, so basically what he sees will also be consciousness, and what is the seen will also be consciousness. So when the seer himself is consciousness, consciousness can only see consciousness. The consciousness can avoid seeing something separate other than that. So when the seer itself is consciousness, so seer, seen, and seeing, all three will become all three will become the seer, which is consciousness.
See, because the energy which the seer has to see the seen is also the consciousness, and the scene which is happening in front of him is also due to the consciousness, and the whole process of being seen is also consciousness. So what I feel is that when you understand that everything which is happening in your life is centered on this consciousness, you will just understand that you are consciousness, and you will be able to change everything around you, happening around you, the way you want it to be, and make your reality happen. So this is what I understood from the whole thing what we spoke now. So this is what I understood.
I have a question. Today Swamiji was saying seeing and experiencing is not two action, it is one action. How seeing and experiencing are same?
What I think is, when you see, you should not get into your, you should not get your you should not get your judgment inside. Means your perception, cognition. You just see how is as it is. If you take example of this mic, you just see it as a mic. You should not get into your perception that okay, so this is a mic which is something solid, and then it is black in color. If you connect it to the electricity, it will work, and then it will be, when you connect it to the speaker, you can hear it more loudly whatever the person speak. So when you sit and put your perception and cognition into whatever you see, it seeing and experiencing doesn't become same. Only when you see a mic as a mic, then what you see and experience both will become one same action.
I have a question. Now, for example, so many people can experience Kundalini, but like Kundalini cannot be seen. So how can seen be experienced?
What I feel is that, like, even if you see somebody's Kundalini being awakened, that itself will give an experience to you, a glimpse of it. So that's why when Swamiji told, like, if there are like lots of people around you whose Kundalini is awakened, and then you be there, for you it's still yet to be awakened, easily you will be able to get the Kundalini awakened. So what I feel is, most of the time, just by seeing, the experience is being transmitted. So the same way, whenever we see an expression of consciousness happening around you, whenever you see the expression of consciousness happening, then naturally you also experience it. Like the moment when we see Swamiji, we also experience that space of completion just like that. Whatever incompletion we might be in, the moment we look at Swamiji, all our incompletions just disappear. We don't even remember that we had some incompletion like that which existed. So the very process of seeing itself will give us the experience, is what I feel.
Adding to what he told, see, what I think is why you are not able to see is, see, if you take example of Swamiji, many times if you have seen, like in Varanasi Ayya, in the first day of Varanasi Ayya, he told that he welcomed all rishis, munis, gandharvas, yakshas and all those people. So what I understood is, when you constantly see everything as it is without your perception and cognition, means you basically judging it, when you see everything as it is, you will move to a space of reality. So in the space of reality, what I think is you can easily see. See, Swamiji is able to see us awakening, our Kundalini being awakened. He is able to see our Kundalini, but only we are not able to see because we constantly judge things. We are so much stuck up in a perception that we are not able to move to the level of fact, truth and reality. So basically, when we move our perception to reality, we will be able to see Kundalini physically.
Just adding to what Adinatha Maharaj told, what I understand is like based on our level of perception, when we see people levitating, like, or even when we see Swamiji like making others levitate, awakening others Kundalini, the space of the space of completion what they all hold, when we see that, we experience that. So when we see Swamiji, the space of completion which he holds, like we experience the same space of completion. So at that time, we seeing Swamiji and experiencing the space of completion, both become the same.
I have a question about what Adinatha Maharaj told. See, he told when you see things like just as they are without perceiving, you'll see the reality or whatever. But seeing is perceiving, right? Because perceiving happens through the five senses, and seeing also happens through the five senses. It happens to the eye, right? So seeing is perceiving.
What I think is, even though seeing is through your perception, whatever you see out of the perception and understand out of that perception, you'll get that part of that experience. What I think is, even though you still have to experience it to get the full experience, but even through your perception, when you see it, you'll see part of the experience. You'll experience part of the experience, is what I think.
Okay, what I meant is, basically you are not putting your judgments on a particular item. See, right now we are stuck up in the level of perception. That's why, so whatever we see, we just immediately start judging that, okay, so mic is in black color. So when you connect this to the wire, and when you connect this to a speaker, you'll be able to listen. You'll be able to listen more loudly and clearly what the person is speaking. So that is fact. But when what we put our judgment that mic is black in color, and then after some time, if we put this in the rain, this black color may go off. So these are all basically all our perceptions. So basically, when you move our level of cognition, which is from perception to the space of truth and reality, once we reach the ultimate space, that is reality, we won't, like, the seeing doesn't exist in the perception level; it becomes in the reality level. So we'll be easily able to see what what Swami meant by seeing and experiencing is just one action, not different things.
I have a question. When Swamiji told that seeing and experiencing is the same, so does he mean seeing by just these two eyes, or does Swamiji mean by seeing through the third eye also? Because Swamiji told, when you see things around you through your third eye, then what you cognize and perceive as reality will be completely different. I feel that when Swamiji is telling that seeing through your seeing is equal to experiencing, then I feel he is speaking about the third eye, because only when you are experiencing and being with the moment, like seeing what has to happen in this moment, I have to speak. So seeing this happen is like experiencing whatever is happening at this moment. So basically I feel that seeing is like experiencing, and it is not just restricted with these two eyes which we have.
Okay, I just wanted to add a story for this. Like when Mahadeva will actually give three boons in Kashi, that whoever dies in Kashi will be liberated, and whoever is burnt, whoever body is burnt in Kashi, they'll be liberated. So like after these boons were given, Devi will ask Mahadeva that that like, is it that liberation becomes so easy for people? Then Mahadeva will tell, no, it will not. Then they will ask how. Then Mahadeva will tell, like, come, I'll take you to Varanasi in itself show. Then when they both will come down in form of a human, in form of humans. That time Mahadeva will tell, like, I'll be lying down dead, and you will be my wife. So you have to you tell everyone that, like, I'll be dead, and comes whoever sinless person comes and touches me, then I'll, like, without any sins, whoever comes and touches me, I'll come back to life. So when then the third boon which Mahadeva would have given will be that whoever takes bath in Ganga in Varanasi, their sins all will be washed and they'll be liberated. So Devi, just to test this, Devi and Mahadeva will come down, and when Mahadeva will be lying down, and they both in human form, then Devi will start crying and calling everyone that, like, my husband is lying down dead, can one of you come? Like, whoever is sinless and comes and touches my husband, he'll come back to life. So many people will come down, like, many people will come and take dip in Ganga, but still, like, no one will be, like, coming, and, like, no one will still believe that they are sinless. And then so they will also tell that whoever, like, if they are sinful and they touch, that person who will touch this the person who will touch Mahadeva will die if they have sinned and touch. So almost all the person who come and take bath there, even after dipping in Ganga, though they know the boon that Mahadeva has given, their sins will be washed away. Whoever took bath in Ganga, no one will dare to come and touch the person who is lying down. Then finally they will wait for the whole day, and at last one poor old man will come. Then he'll ask what happened, what is the problem. Then they will think, like, no other person did, how will he touch? So he is already, like, he's kind of he is very poor. Will he even not have self-doubt? Then Devi will tell whatever happens. Devi will tell that whoever sinless person comes and touch, my husband will come back to life. So this person, though that was not his experience, he just told, I heard that Mahadeva had given a boon. Whoever takes bath in Ganga will become sinless. So he'll just go and dip in Ganga, come back and touch Mahadeva. The moment he does that, Mahadeva and Devi will, like, show their, they'll give him the darshan and just liberate him in that point. So what I understand is, whether it is your experience or not, you, like, having, like, Nithyananda way of cognition, you just exaggerating the whole thing on master, he'll make it happen, and he'll just change your whole perception and mature your whole cognition.
And also, Swamiji told today, when you see Swamiji itself, seeing and experiencing Swamiji, both is not two actions. It's only one action which is happening there. So the moment you see Swamiji, the moment you just look at him, that experience which happens in you, that you are just him. So the moment you just see Swamiji, that experience happen in you. So seeing and experiencing is not different. It is both the same.
But that way, see, Swamiji radiates Shivoham, and because he's experienced Shivoham, so if we see Swamiji, is it as good as experiencing Shivoham?
What I understand is, like, See, if what I understand is Shivoham is being in the space of powerfulness and completion. So when I see Swamiji, like he radiates the space of Shivoham. So in that point, I will be powerful and I will be complete. So that time I see Swamiji and I will also experience what I am seeing. So seeing and experiencing even in that situation is the same.
See, adding to what they told, see, like when you go for darshan, when you go for the Kalpata darshan to Swamiji, see, the moment the moment you get into the stage, you suddenly from somewhere you'll feel the bliss in you. You see, actually, I had so many thoughts for asking what you need to ask, what you need to ask Swamiji, but suddenly you'll feel so much of bliss into you, and then you'll completely forget what you want to ask itself. That is because the Shivoham experience with Swami is radiating. That constantly is in the space of that he is Shiva. The space which he radiates makes us also, moment we enter into that breathing space of him, we also get into the space of Shivoham, and we completely become one with the consciousness at that point. That's why what we see and experience is just one same action. It's not a different action.
And Swamiji also explained about this very deeply when he was explaining about the mirroring of the brain neurons. So when in normal people itself, if you put someone who doesn't know how to draw and someone who knows how to draw, when you make those two people live with each other, automatically you'll start seeing that the person who doesn't know how to draw will start drawing. It's actually scientifically proven. And also with Swamiji is in a completely higher space. So the moment we see Swamiji experiencing Shivoham, that moment itself, that experience of Shivoham will happen to us. So it is just like the mirroring of the brain neurons which happen to us. And the same way, when so much of mirroring happens in our life, that time there can't be any boredom in our life. So when we start enjoying this and when we start seeing the inspiration in life this way, the boredom will go away from us.
Like what I think is like the first day in Cambodia when Swamiji gave us a Shivam Darshan, when the screen just opened and Swamiji gave us a Shivam Darshan, later on Swamiji said that Shivam Darshan will basically be in us for the rest of our lives. Like we'll always remember that darshan. So what I think is you saw him and that because that became an experience on you you'll remember it, right? So what I think at that point, because you saw him, you just experienced it.
Just adding a point. So what I feel is that if the best way for you to break your boredom and not fall prey for it is that, see, you need to have a proper ambience and surroundings around you where people will not tolerate your inauthenticity, and again they make you feel that you have to learn more. So only when the surrounding is like that, then only the highest possibility is given for you to experience the highest space of consciousness and not to fall prey for this boredom and laziness. So the best way you could do is, like, if you are a kid, then coming and experiencing the Varanasi IA for kids and then joining Gurukul. If you are an adult, then having a glimpse of this experience in the Varanasi IA and then becoming part of the Sangha and taking up either becoming a part of the Ananda Yogam or doing something like that will constantly give you that feeling where your boredom is not encouraged and action is what is encouraged. Creation is encouraged. So best way I feel you can break your boredom and not fall prey to this is attending the Varanasi IA and becoming part of the Sangha.
So basically, like how Sundaresham has told, you need to have in your life satsanga, not dusanga. So when you have dusanga in your life, you always cherish boredom and tiredness in your life, and you will fall prey for the boredom, and you'll only worship ignorance. So when you have satsanga, like how Sundaresham has told, either being part of the sangha, attending the Varanasi IA, or joining the Gurukul and joining Gurukul by attending IA for kids. So by doing this and becoming part of Satsanga, which is joining the Nithyananda Sangha anywhere in the world, you will naturally be constantly in the space of creativity, and you will not cherish boredom and tiredness in your life.
Just adding to what Adinatha Maharaj told, what I understand is like when you have a like when you have satsanga around you, the space of authenticity what each one of them hold, like the group energy is more. So even when you start, when you tend to get bored, even when you start encouraging a little boredom, immediately like it will be your satsanga will immediately catch it. It is like putting a small black spot in a white bright board, the same way. So like immediately whatever small boredom or small incompletion starts, immediately the group energy will just pull you up and not let you fall down. So only encourage your authenticity. In this case, like when you they encourage you to do more and more, not getting bored of whatever is there. So when they encourage you to do more and more, like you'll not get bored of something and you'll be in the space of completion. So satsanga will always hold the space of authenticity and encourage you to do more and more.
What I think is basically like seeing the satsanga itself around you, not falling into laziness, not falling into boredom itself will make you realize that you should also be like that, and you should not fall into that laziness and boredom.
I have a doubt now. I have a doubt. See, like one day in satsang, Swamiji told you should never be part of Dusanga. You should always be part of satsanga. And Swamiji also told the same satsang. There are few people who are in satsanga, but who don't want to live all these truths and completely pulling the whole group space. And so because they have such kind of space, they go back to Dusanga. So is it that we need to constantly decide for life so that we have satsanga in our life? Is it deciding for life which makes us come out of the boredom? Even for us to be part of satsanga, we need to decide for life, right? So is it basically deciding for life which makes us come out of the boredom and tiredness?
What I think is yes, because boredom itself, we decide for boredom itself out of the decision against life only. So what I think is only when we decide for life and for being part of a satsanga, we'll come out of that boredom and laziness.
Adding to her point, in one of the recent satsangs, Swamiji said the luckiest people in the whole world are the people who are around an enlightened master, so that constant expansion and transformation will keep on happening, and you won't be like completely settled. You'll just keep on transforming more and more and more, so you can never get bored.
And what I feel is when you first decide to come out of this boredom, first a small satsanga might form around you. Then slowly they'll hold you up, and when you continuously decide to not go back and fall for that ignorance and not fall into that boredom again, when you continuously decide to be in that space of inspiration always, the satsanga will become more and more bigger around you, and you will be more happy when the satsanga gets more, when the satsanga gets created more around you.
Adding a point, once Swamiji told in satsang that when first he got the darshan of Devi Kamakshi, that time he asked for one boon, and that was, I should not feel settled until I experience what you feel as the ultimate. So I feel that same experience and that same boon Swamiji has given each one of us, so that we live around him and we don't feel settled until we reach what he feels as the ultimate. So that is one of the biggest boons Swamiji has given the Gurukul kids and the Ashramites and everyone who is living around him. So using that boon and continuously radiating it in your life and working towards understanding your consciousness is the best thing you could do in your life.
So what I understood from today's Vaakyaartha Sadhas, that how you should not fall prey for the boredom is, you should constantly decide for life and constantly be with satsanga. So by doing these two things, you will never fall prey for boredom and tiredness, and you will never worship ignorance by doing this.
So with this, we come to the conclusion of today's Vaakyaartha Sathas. We'll expand on whatever Swami speaks in the further Vaakyaartha Sathas. Now we'll finish with the Purna Mantra.
Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sarvam Sadguru Padukarpanamastu. Om Nithyananda